All right, well, good morning. So 2020 is turning out to be some year. We're just over 75% of the way through, and the news reads like lyrics to It's the End of the World by REM. Ask your teachers. There have been floods and hurricanes and wildfires. There have been protests, riots, and looting as our country wrestles with racial justice. We're currently in the middle of a contentious election season, and several iconic cultural figures have died this year, including Kobe Bryant, Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther for you Marvel fans, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Eddie Van Halen. Think we've had enough? Wait, there's more. I read a story this week that quoted astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson as saying there is a refrigerator-sized space rock hurtling towards the Earth at approximately 25,000 miles per hour, and it will likely clip the Earth on November 2nd. According to Tyson, the asteroid is not big enough to cause harm. If the world ends in 2020, it won't be the fault of the universe. And I haven't even mentioned the COVID pandemic and the toll that it's taking on people. There are people dying from the disease itself. Deaths from despair in people aged 18 to 24 are significantly higher than in previous years, and people are losing their jobs and their businesses. In Hawaii, where tourism is a large part of our economy, people who work in travel and hospitality are being laid off by the hundreds. And just yesterday, the Honolulu Marathon was canceled, which will result in a significant loss of revenue from the absence of people who come from all over the world to participate, and who then spend money at local businesses. As a result, it's understandable for people's anxiety levels to be over 9,000. But what about you? What makes you anxious? Now, don't worry, I'm not going to ask your teacher to pause the video and so you can share with each other. Some things are really personal. However, I do want you to have that in mind as we move forward. For me, one of the things that makes me anxious is writer's block. Sitting down with my iPad to type out a chapel message or a college recommendation letter or a commencement speech. It's just staring at that blinking cursor with a blank mind, knowing that I have an impending deadline and nothing to say. Or not even that I don't have something to say, I can't say it perfectly. I'm not one of those people who draft. I can't move on to the next sentence until I like the way the current sentence sounds. And yes, I do mean sounds. After I've written a few sentences, I'll go back to the beginning and then read whatever I've written just to make sure that the rhythm and the meter of what I'm saying flows. For me, the enemy of the good is the perfect. And many times I can't release the perfect and settle for the good. And as the clock keeps ticking and the cursor keeps blinking, my anxiety steadily increases. Well, the Bible has quite a bit to say about anxiety and worry as humans, with their limited perspective on, pretty much everything, and their desire to be in control of, pretty much everything, worry quite a bit. Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount says, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Easier said than done, right? Well, let's make a few observations before we get to the doing of it all. First, notice the therefore. Whenever we see therefore, we want to look up to see what it's there for. In the preceding paragraphs, Jesus cautions the disciples against being overly concerned with the stuff of life, saying that the birds don't labor and yet are fed, nor do the flowers of the field worry about clothes, yet your beauty is unmatched. Now, it would be really easy to misunderstand and then misapply this passage. Okay, so first, Jesus is not saying don't work, and God will merely take care of all your needs like some benevolent socialist dictator. Jesus himself worked as a carpenter. He is cautioning against work and the accumulation of wealth, and that being your primary focus. Second, Jesus is not saying we should go around looking like hobos and live with only the barest of essentials in food, drink, and clothing. And Jesus himself liked a good party. In fact, he was often chastised by the religious elite of his days for partying a bit too much. He's cautioning against primarily focusing on your needs. Instead, he draws our attention to the kingdom of God and living in harmony with God's ways, on which he has previously elaborated. Be peacemakers, love your enemies, pray regularly, give to the needy, and all the other imperatives in Matthew 5-7. If we do, if we make living this way of life our focus, the rest of it all will all be thrown in, and we won't be overly inclined to anxiety. Now, our main passage. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. As mentioned earlier before, it's a lot easier said than done not to worry. And at the risk of sounding overly trite, and I hate sounding trite, I can't think of any better way to phrase it than let go and let God. When you find that anxiety building up within you, stop. Take a deep breath and release it to God. You are not all powerful. You are a human being. You are not all knowing. You are a human being. Release all of those things which you absolutely have no control. Name them. I can't control time. I can't control the economy. I can't control the fact that I just received several notifications on my iPad because I didn't put it in silent mode. And I can't fix YouTube's processing time. What I can do is live the way of Jesus in this moment, right now. Tomorrow, next week, next month, next year are not my concern, especially if 2020 continues along its current trajectory. But I can live right now, trusting in God for right now.